So it's September and we're here in Mount Lemmon finally. The roads have been opened and we're in Bear Wallow looking for mushrooms, and it's been pretty dry. But there are still some mushrooms that will grow anyways, and they're all pretty much dried out. But I'd like to point something out today because this is a very common mushroom here in our mountains in Mount Lemmon, and I just wanted to do a little video. Hopefully we find some fresher ones uphill, but for now I'm going to talk about this mushroom. Now these are our oyster mushrooms that grow wild here in Mount Lemmon, and you'll typically find them in many trees out here. But notice how all of the mushrooms that like to grow on these trees usually pick trees that are dead, sick, or dying, or fallen. Oyster mushrooms here in Mount Lemmon like to grow on standing dead trees. I usually find them all the way up, making shelves all the way to the top, and you need like special tools to raise a blade up there and cut them off, or you can throw like a fishing wire with a rock at the end of it to saw them down. But these are our wild oysters. They're edible, they're really good, but right now they're really dry. And all of these mushrooms typically in any forest like to grow on dead trees. They like to grow on northeastern facing slopes, away from the sunlight, and where the humidity could be preserved better. But always look for trees that are sick or dead. You'll typically find at least one mushroom growing on it, at least one kind. This one has like some false turkey tails on the side. Oysters which have been eaten by animals, and I wanted to do a little video on them, but I will do another follow-up video talking about these oyster mushrooms when they're fresh, so you can get a better look at them and get a better description, because these are kind of shriveled up. But I can talk about the little shape that they have. They usually have this, I don't know why they call it an oyster shape, but it's not really an oyster shape. It's just like a little round shape attached to the tree with no stem, or maybe a little bit of a stem, but they're all white on the top, white gills. These are not good examples because they're dried, they turned yellow, but we'll see you guys in the next video. So this is my typical oyster mushroom tree. I'm doing a video real quick because there's a lot of cars in this area, but as you can see, oysters love to grow on this tree from head to toe. They just grow all the way up, and you need special equipment to get these. But right now we're gonna go to the bottom, and I'm going to show you a close-up on what the oyster mushrooms look like, so you can be able to identify them when you see them. But typically they have this like tannish light color. Delicious, good, choice edible, and unfortunately I don't have the equipment to get it, but I think next year I will. I'll do a video when I'm climbing it, getting these mushrooms. But let's take a closer look at the bottom. So notice how these oysters at the bottom of the tree are a lot fresher looking. They typically have like a creamy white color. They're soft, and they grow in these clusters. Usually you'll find clusters all over the tree. On a normally on many trees they grow on the bottom, on the bottom of the tree, and usually in an area where there's more humidity. But this tree, I come here every year. This tree is always full of oysters, and they crawl all the way to the top. But they grow in this it's like a semi-stacked cluster. They have many different ones growing at a time, and they have this little roundish oyster shape, I guess, which is why they're called oysters. So I'm gonna remove this one to show you some of the features. Oh yeah, super meaty. So before they dry and turn yellow, they have fresh looking kind of cream color white gills, and they have the shape typical of the oyster, which grows like that, around this shape. They don't have a stem. Sometimes they have short somewhat of a stem, but usually they're just attached to the tree, and they're really good. If you want to make sure they are oysters, you'll want to get a spore print by leaving it on a surface for, I don't know, a couple hours, and they'll drop spores, and the spores of the oyster mushroom are white. But also you could do a smell test. If they smell good, they don't smell like chemicals, they're usually good. You know, it's a good sign. And you can do a taste test where you chew a little bit of the mushroom and spit it out. But these are very easy to identify, very hard to confuse with anything deadly. There is a look-alike called the angel wings mushroom, and kind of looks like oyster, but we don't have any of that in this mountain. So if you're up in Mount Lemmon and you see these, harvest them. They're not going to kill you.